Hey, beer friends, what's up? So, maybe you can see behind me. I'm still on my cruise. So, it's actually our last night, and I've been trying to film this video the entire time we've been on the ship, and I just have been super busy because there's a lot going on. I'm with my family, there's 8 of us. So, what I actually did was because I have the drinks package, which means I get up to 15 drinks a day. Last night I ordered 4 different beers to room service so that I could put them in the fridge and have them ready for today. And then I just got busy like trying to do all this last minute stuff, these things that you want to do before you get off. So here I am. It's kind of getting dark out. The sun just set. Um, we're somewhere in the Caribbean, making our way back to Fort Lauderdale. So um, what I thought would be very apropos and appropriate is to do a type of beer that probably everyone is familiar with, but it kind of touches on the trip that I've had, which was a very international trip. Um, so I'm focusing, and actually, because I have the drinks package, like I said, I could get all of these beers at no cost. So what I thought would be fun to do was to do sort of like a compare and contrast. Um, so I have 4 different beers, and you probably have had at least one or all of these. So I'm just going to get right into it. So our beer this week is International Pale Lager. So here's one everyone knows and loves, Corona. Um, I'm actually excited about this because I bought one of these at home before we came, and I actually brought the can with me to Florida, and I was going to try and do the video before I left Florida, but I didn't get a chance. But that Corona, I don't think is actually made in Mexico. This one is made in Mexico. So the one that I bought in Canada, I believe is made somewhere in Canada, but I'd have to check the can. So we've got Corona. Everyone knows and loves it. Um, Here's another one everyone knows and maybe loves. We've got Heineken. This is Dutch and very distinctive green bottle. There's something, kind of unique about this beer, which is that it tends to smell a little skunky, and so a lot of that comes from the bottle. Same with Corona. Um, the clear glass and the green glass don't actually prevent any like UV light from getting inside, and so what happens is the UV light reacts with any of the hop oils that are left in the beer, and it makes it taste skunky. It kind of gives it this skunky off aroma, off flavor. So that's kind of what people know Heineken for. But anyway, I thought, hey, we're here. I'm not going to buy Heineken and pay for it, so I'll just get it now. Um, Another one that's fun that I don't see really very much in Canada is Red Stripe. And this is kind of unique because people know the shape of this bottle. It's this little stubby guy. I thought it was cute. I didn't know it said this, but it says born in Jamaica. So not brewed in Jamaica, but born in Jamaica. So I thought that was cute. Um, but yeah, this is just another example that, a lot of people know. And then one that you don't see a lot of, but I wanted to get because I thought it was fun. I've had it before, but I thought it was interesting. Is Tiger beer. So this is from Singapore. Um, I feel like you see it a lot in the U.S. I don't know that we see it very much in Canada, but it's definitely a huge like beer like that's sold worldwide. So basically, the idea is that these are all variations of international pale lager. So an international pale lager is basically a beer that, I mean, it's a pale lager that is made worldwide. So they're all very similar, but it's kind of like each country has their own. So you could also think of, I mean, maybe you could even consider like Labatt, Carib. Um, what else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. What I did do, which is really fun, and I'm gonna show this like later, but every country that I was in this week, I tried to get beers to bring home so that I could drink them and review them. And so a lot of those are lagers. So I got some from Nicaragua, Panama, Colombia, Grand Cayman, and maybe Costa Rica. I'm not sure, but I did find some craft beers as well, so I got those. If I found craft beer, I got those instead. Um, but anyway, so the idea is that this is kind of the same recipe, and they all are going to taste a little similar. So I just thought, well, I'll do a little compare and contrast and see. Um, the other thing is normally I talk about glassware. So obviously I'm on this ship and I don't have all the appropriate glassware, which is something I did bring up to the food and beverage manager. I met with him this morning and I was talking about beer service and proper, education and that kind of thing. So, um, depending on where you go, like which bar or pub or restaurant or whatever you go to on the ship, you'll get, if the beer's in a bottle, they'll usually just give you the bottle. If you want a glass, they'll give you a glass, but sometimes it's plastic if you're by the pool. Sometimes it's like nicer if you're at a pub. Sometimes it's like what I have from room service, which looks like this. So, um, so it's not really necessarily like style appropriate. And again, most of the beer on the ship is some sort of lager or light beers. A lot of Coors Light. Um, what else did I see? I had some Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Um, there's Lagunitas. But so basically it's like this is kind of the best you're going to get. So this is what I'm going to be using tonight. But the other interesting thing I was thinking about was when people think of Corona, what do you think of when you think of Corona? You think of opening this bottle, right? And like putting a lime in there. I don't even really know what the appropriate glassware is for international pale lager because they come from all different countries. And some of them, like maybe Stella has like a nice glass. Maybe Heineken, you'd have like a little, maybe like a mug style. Um, but most people just drink from the bottle or the can. So it's like, I didn't really know what the appropriate glassware was. So anyway, um, I'm just gonna crack these open and we'll get to it. So I might as well just start with the Corona because we're talking about that. Um, there we go. So yeah, made in Mexico. What really else is there to say? There's different styles, not styles, but different brands that are also made in Mexico. I'm not going to do all of it because I only have 2 glasses and I have 4 beers. Um, but when you think of Mexican beer, you might also think of like Pacifico or Sol or Dos Equis or maybe like a Modelo. So all of those are Mexican beers and very similar. So, I mean, this is not surprising, but this is very clear. And I'm going to try and hold my card up so that you can see. It's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, that is super, super, super clear. It's like there's, I don't want to say it looks like water, but I mean, it kind of looks like water. So, um, I mean, to me, again, so like the foam was pretty good. And I think the beer glasses that they give us are etched, which I think I've talked about before, but basically there's like a little like mark on the bottom of the glass, and basically that keeps the bubbles flowing like as you drink the beer. So I think this glass is etched. But otherwise, like it does have a nice head. It did. What was I gonna say? I smell this and it just kind of smells like a beach beer, like anything you would think of, like if you're at a picnic or on the beach or anything like that. Like that's what this smells like to me because that's what these beers are, right? So it just smells like I don't think I would know that this is Corona. I would just be like, oh, it's a lager. So let's see if I have any like interesting like flavors jumping out. So I'm gonna say 2 things. I'm gonna say 3 things. One, I don't know if I love that. 2, the carbonation is pretty good, but I also think the fridge that we have in our little cabin, our mini fridge, is not super cold. So it could be that it's like warmed up just a teeny bit, and it's I'm getting a little bit more like bubble, like the CO2 is releasing. Um, yeah, and the third thing is like I really don't love that. I kind of feel like that's why people do lime, to just give it some sort of flavor, you know? But I'm gonna just slam this really quick because I need this glass. It's super, super, super light. Like if I was eating something, like maybe if I was outside at a beach and I was eating something, and maybe like it was spicy, like salsa or like I don't know, like some nachos or something, and I drank that, like this would almost be just like water to me. Like that's what it would feel like or taste like. Okay, beer number two. I'm gonna jump into Tiger beer. And honestly, I feel like in the past I've purchased this beer at the store because I love this can. The tiger growing up was my favorite animal. Um, I don't know. I just love this can, so that's probably why I bought it. So, let me just get rid of this. Okay. Okay, so I think it's not shocking that this is basically the same color. It looks exactly the same to me. I don't want my little note card to blow away. So this has good head as well, like right here. Um, it's very, very clear. So was the Corona. It's very clear. And again, these are all huge, huge, huge breweries that make these beers, and so I know that they're filtering and they're doing all the lab work and everything. Um, so I wouldn't expect anything else. This tastes almost identical to the Corona. I don't even know, like, I might do a deep dive later on the internet and see if these are even like somehow owned by the same huge conglomerate because they taste exactly identical. Um, yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna get a fresh glass then. And we might as well do the red stripe because, like I said, the Heineken tends to kind of have like a reputation for being sort of like skunky and yeah, like you just kind of know it's a Heineken. So I don't really want to put that in my glass just yet before I do the red stripe. So, oh dear, let's try that. I used to buy red stripe as well every once in a while, just like for fun. Again, because I thought this little bottle was, cute, so that's what I did. All right, here we go. Oh dear. Wow, this is so shocking that it looks the exact same. It looks like water. It looks the exact same. This is ridiculous. So here we go. Uh, my husband just came by and locked me out on the balcony because I think when the door is not like engaged to lock, the air conditioner doesn't work. So let's all hope that I make it back inside. So it's funny, like this looks the same, like same color. I even have my tiger beer like right here next to it, and I apologize. This light is not great, but I procrastinate. I have ADHD. This was like very last minute. Um, they look the exact same. They look the exact same. So anyway, the clarity is great. I would say this is like, I would say like pale straw. And if I had to guess an SRM, I would say probably like 2 to 3. Um, since they're all very similar, I feel like I don't need to taste back to back again, but I'd say that there's very low bitterness. And there really isn't supposed to be, because when you want like a light, refreshing beer, if it's hot, especially when you think about some of these are more like hot country beers, if that makes sense. Like maybe not the Heineken or the Stella or things like that, but beers that you drink somewhere that it's hot, you want it to be like light and refreshing and crisp. You don't want it to be like super bitter and like dry or heavy or dark. And you know, so a lot of people in these countries do drink dark beer. Um, they just drink more of these. But so I would say bitterness is very low. Um, yeah, I'd say low bitterness. And I would say the same for body, like very light, like low body. Um, I talked about this a little bit when I did the American lager, and I think I also did light lager at that time, or maybe I just did lager. But basically, in the US, they'll use grain like barley, and then they'll also use rice and corn to sort of give the sugar, but not the body. And so I'm guessing it's very the idea is the same here, just to have like a lighter body. Not a lot of flavor happening here. Um, and yeah, I would further like hazard that it's very light, and maybe they use the corn and the rice, because if you look at where these are brewed, like in Mexico you've got corn, in Asia you've got rice, and so they're just probably like building up that grain bill to boost the ABV a little bit, but not give any extra mouthfeel or malt flavor. Okay, I have an empty glass now, so we're moving on to our friend Mr. or Mrs. Heineken. Before I even pour it, I'm just gonna smell it out of the bottle. Oh man. Okay, so there was a time when I drank Heineken, I think, because I thought it was like imported and like cool, um, and I didn't know how bad it really was. But I also forgot until this trip, because we went to two different islands that are Dutch. So we went to Aruba and Curacao, and I saw Amstel everywhere. And I totally had even forgotten that Amstel existed, because I rarely have seen that in Canada. But I'm wondering if they have kind of the same flavor based on their recipe. But um, I talked a little bit about the the aroma and like the off flavor, which is like the skunkiness, and that's basically from we call it light struck. So that's because the light is not being blocked at all by a darker bottle. Like this is a darker bottle. Um, so typically when you see beer in bottles, they're in brown bottles, because that's gives it the best protection. But this doesn't, and so you get that light struck, and so basically you just smell it, and it smells like skunk. So you can buy little they're called like spike kits, and you get like a little vial of different off flavors and off aromas, and you break it open and you pour it in beer, so that you can learn what those aromas and those flavors are. And when I was doing my Cicerone, one of my classes with my group, uh, our instructor Annette, she was like, "I'm not even going to bother with the vial, because just open a can of Heineken or a bottle of Heineken and you can smell the skunk." The interesting thing though is that that's only because it's in the bottle. So if you have it in a can or on tap, it's going to be totally different, because it's not getting any of that light, you know, interference, interaction. The other thing is that a lot of these countries, like we talked about hot weather countries, you know, when you think about it, they're shipping beer from wherever, and it's coming on a ship, probably like maybe a container ship. Um, it may or may not be refrigerated, so it's not getting the proper like refrigeration, and then it might be unloaded at a dock somewhere, and then who knows how long it sits on the dock, which is hot. You're in this hot country, so it's like then it's just sitting in this heat, and it's just getting all this like stuff happening to it, and so it's like, is that the best representation of that beer? We don't know, because that's all we're used to. So it could be better, if you get it straight from the source, you know. So here we are again, same color. You can almost like not even see it behind my hand. I mean, the head is good. I would say the three that I just did are all basically the same beer. And then you get to this one and it technically is the same. It's just that aroma that's different because of that skunkiness. And I would say that's that off that off flavor, that kind of light stroke off flavor does give it a little more like taste. It's not a great taste, but it's like it doesn't taste like water, let's put it that way. Man, and I just think back to like, why did I ever drink this like on purpose? I'm sorry if I offend anyone that loves Heineken, but this is like a known fact that it's not great. um, yeah. Wow. All right. I don't even think of these four I could pick like a favorite because they're all so similar. But again, like I've mentioned in the past, you talk about the nostalgia or like the place or the situation. So I would almost have to say like Corona because this makes me think about being like on the beach in Mexico with friends or like even growing up. I grew up in Southern California. So like my dad used to drink Tecate. Um, but like also too, if you put a little lime in it, it does help a little bit. So that's what I think about. And then I think about, um, like I said, Tiger beer. This was just because I liked the can. So, I mean, would I buy it again? I don't know, maybe. Depends on the price. I've never been to Asia, but so I don't have that connection. Um, yeah, so I don't know. And then I would say, I don't even know, Red Stripe. I've definitely had it before. I've not had it in Jamaica, so I can't really say. But I do also, like I said, I think of Carib. Um, there's a large brewery in St. Kitts, a Carib brewery, and my mother-in-law's from St. Kitts, so when we go there, it's something that we drink, and we just sit there and we drink Carib, we drink Skull, we drink Stag, we drink whatever, and they're all brewed from the same place, and so that's kind of what I think of. So honestly, if I was going to pick up an international pale lager, I'd probably pick a Carib. Uh, yeah. So because I'm a total dork and I was planning to do this video at some point, I brought my little note card with me. So I'm gonna see how I did. So we just, oh, and I got it wet. Oh well. So we just talked about International Pale Lager. And let's see. Okay. So it says they use 2-row or 6-row barley, and 6-row barley is better for using an adjunct. And if you remember, an adjunct is anything that's not barley. So these beers could use rice, corn, or just like straight sugar. Like it could be dextrose, which is corn sugar. It could be sucrose, which is table sugar. Um, there's different options, but they could just dump sugar in there. But that's also what makes it feel lighter. So the color is straw to gold. So I said 2 to 3 SRM. This is 2 to 6 SRM. So I was close. I actually said light straw. Um, the perceived bitterness is moderate, which is surprising to me because I don't really get that from any of these. I think they're all very light, like no bitterness. Um, the body is light to medium body, so I got that right. I said light body. Um, the ABV is considered normal, so the range is 4.6 to 6. And so these are basically, this is, I just saw it, 4.7 for Red Stripe, 4.5 for Corona. Where is this one? Maybe it's on the front. 4.5%, so we're getting a little higher. And then 5% for Tiger. So they're all really like basically about the same. And then any other info that I have just says highly attenuated. So that means it's the yeast has eaten like as much sugar as it possibly can. Um, Pale lager without strong flavors, well balanced and highly carbonated. And again, the carbonation kind of gives it that crisp mouthfeel so that it feels a little bit more refreshing. So I think I did okay on this one. I feel like I would rather buy one of these, and I'm just going to keep drinking this red stripe. I would rather buy one of these to drink it rather than like a light lager or an American lager, just because I find them to be a little more interesting, or maybe it's just the mind set saying, oh, this is like imported and it's different, and I don't know, I feel like I'm on vacation. I don't know. My brother did also order a Peroni today, which is from Italy, and I did not like that one. And I don't, it's hard because that was like many hours ago when I was eating, and so it's hard to compare it directly with these, but I didn't love it. Um, yeah, so I don't know. Another thing too to think about, I was just thinking about this, sorry, a lot going on, and I'm, you know, one take pony and I ramble, but um, there is this mentality too of like, these are like the local beers for the locals. And so even though these all taste the same, and I can get, like, I could go to a store in, you know, Panama and get a Corona, or go to Costa Rica and get a Corona. Most people there are not going to drink that. Like, they might be kind of catering to like an expat market, but everyone is drinking the local lager. So if you're in Jamaica, it's Red Stripe. If you're in like Trinidad or St. Kitts, it's Carib. You know, I think uh, Costa Rica, it was Imperial. In Belize, it was Belican. Like, so it's, you know, you just drink whatever's local because that's the closest brewery. That's like the easiest beer to get. That's just what everyone has everywhere. So um, that's the other thing. So that's another reason these beers tend to be like pretty popular. So I don't know. I'd love to hear about local international pale lagers where you are. I was gonna maybe try and do a Foster's. I don't even know if that even falls under this international pale lager umbrella, but they only have the what they call the oil can on board, and it's 25 ounces. So I thought, okay, I don't need to do that. Uh, but yeah, I'd love to hear about like your thoughts on these, and you know, do you like them? Do you drink them? Would you rather have these than like just a domestic light lager? I'm curious. So thank you for joining me, and I am sadly getting off the ship tomorrow, going back to Canada. We're going to see our puppies, so that's exciting. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this cruise, and I'm really excited to go through the beers that I bought and share them with you at some point when I get home. So cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, whatever, etc. Have a great evening. Yeah. Cheers. See ya.